ourselves all situated here. And now, let's see, let's set up our comments, and okay, we'll get on. I keep hearing like car doors, and I keep thinking my friend is here. I'm expecting a friend this afternoon, my girlfriend Pam, who lives in Atlanta. Can't wait to see her. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. Oh, yay, hello, happy Monday, happy Monday. I'm so happy to be back with you. I feel like it has been really like heavy. I feel like the energy's been heavy. And I know there's been just like a lot of stuff going on for a lot of people. There's been so much. And I think, also, in the news, there's just been like, there's just been a lot, right? And we're coming to the end of summer. The kids are back in school, at least here in Florida. And that's got some positives and negatives with it as well. And my son is he's starting to pack up his stuff to get ready to go back to college. It's been so nice to have him here for a little extra time. So, yeah. So I am so delighted to be back with you. Sometimes it feels like it's like, I know we were just together last Monday, but sometimes it just feels like really a long time since I was able to connect with you. And I want to talk today about leaning in. I want to talk about leaning in. I think that in setting boundaries, right? Setting boundaries. I work with people every day who are empathic, or they're discovering their empathic abilities, or their limitations, or their lack of limitations, the boundaries. And I think it's so important that we remind ourselves that we are not required to absorb everything that comes at us, right? We live in this like 24-hour news cycle, and it's just like, stuff comes at us so quickly. And I think that it's so important that we have these boundaries, that we are not required or obligated to absorb everything that comes at us. What I mean is, I recently was going through my email, and I was looking at some newsletter. I don't even remember what it was, but some newsletter, and I was like reading it, and I thought, this isn't like relevant to me, or it's not interesting to me, or whatever it was. I don't remember what it was. And it's not relevant to me, so why am I reading it? And I heard the voice in my head, you're reading it because they sent it to you. And I thought, well, that's bullshit. You don't have to read it just because they sent it to me. And I literally had this thought in my head, in my left brain, it was like, well, it would be impolite not to read it. I'm like, what? And my other brain is going, have you lost your mind? Like, what? And it really got me thinking about what things that we do we do because we think there's some expectation. Like, who would know if I read this email newsletter or I didn't read? Nobody would know. I know that when I send out emails, I have a tracker that tells me who opened it. Okay, that's really great, but it certainly does not tell me, or like anything that bounces, but it certainly does not tell me like, this person read it, they read every story, they even saved off some, no, you either opened it or you didn't open the email, and fine. And so I really, sometimes I think we need these little smacks in the head to get motivated to go and clean out our email lists and, things like that, and what kind of crap we're getting. But I also, so that was one of the things that was really on me this week, is what are we engaging ourselves with because of some ridiculous expectation that we have, or that we think someone else has. And then the other thing that really was on me this week was about Harry's doing this really weird thing, and then the video, it's bugging me. So isn't that ridiculous? And the other thing was about this quote that Glennon Doyle, who is a great writer, and she's got a great podcast called We Can Do Hard Things. And so if you're not familiar with her podcast, I really do recommend it. I find it to be very, very interesting. And as a former soccer player and as a mom of two former soccer players, I am very, it's fascinating to me also. It's a really nice perspective when she brings her partner Abby Wambach to participate in the conversation, because Abby has a perspective that I think is really, it's interesting to me, and having followed Abby for a long time, I actually have more familiarity with Abby than I do with Glennon. But the podcast is interesting, and one of the things that they have been talking about is, as Glennon very honestly and openly talks about her battles with anxiety and depression and different issues, addiction and things like that. One of the things that she said was, stop worrying about what, oh gosh, now I can't remember the thing, and I can't even look it up because I'm on my Facebook page. Not worrying about what could be and focusing on what is. What if, that's what it is. She said, stop focusing on what if and focus on what is. And this thought has really been with me for like a week, maybe a little bit more than a week. Because on the one hand, as a person who deals with anxiety and depression and things like that, I totally get where she's coming from. I totally get it. I am the person in the car who, when I see the car in front of me, put their brake lights on, I immediately I'm like, okay, because I can see the brake lights, and in this place in my mind for years I could see the brake lights and the car accident and the things, and it wasn't my precognition that was doing it, it was my anxiety. And it took me a long time to get a hold of that and to understand that this was not my psychic abilities, this was not, anything that was coming from a higher source, because higher source is never trying to scare you. Higher source is always operating from love, and higher source is never trying to harm you or scare you. And so it took me a long time to understand, not that it wasn't higher source, but what was it? Is there something wrong with me? What is that about? And it was my own anxiety and depression and the things that I had to really manage and deal with. And as I did that, I really understand what she's talking about focusing on what is. What is that the car in front of me tapped their brake lights. That was all it was, and then we all went on our merry way. There was no 5-car pileup. We were not harmed. There was nothing. What is that we were all fine. What if is in that situation? What if there's an accident? What if this? What if that? And so my older son got rear-ended the other day. He's fine. Everything's fine. But it really triggers that, right? If you're a person, a parent, especially with drivers, your children out there driving, there's a level of anxiety just with that. And my kids are in their 20s now, so they're not 16, 17-year-old drivers. But there is that moment of, well, what if this and what if this, because you're not with them. And so that was always a concern. They're over 18. If they got, God forbid, had to go to the hospital, I had to make sure I had all the papers signed, because we are the parents, but they are adults. They are over 18. And so there was a whole lot of what if, that you can just swirl yourself into a knot and create more anxiety than anything that's reality, actually happening. And so I totally get where she's coming from as a coping mechanism for anxiety, to say, focus on what is rather than what if. And so in the what is, my son got rear-ended in the rain. He was sitting at a traffic light. He was totally fine. The car has, got minimal damage. The other car took the brunt of it. We contacted the insurance company. The insurance company's going to take care of it. Everything is going to be fine. That is what is. But the what ifs is where you can oh my God, okay. So that's when you're dealing with anxiety and depression and things like that. But the other part of it is that's the left brain part, right? That's the left brain part. When you're a human being and you're dealing with anxiety and depression and all of these things. But on the right brain, you have all the metaphysical part, the higher mind connection over here. And over here, I look at focusing on what is rather than what if. And on this side of my brain, it's important to flip it around. Because on the right side, when we're connecting to spirit and God and angels and your loved ones in spirit and your higher mind and your guides and all of these amazing entities on the other side in the higher planes, it's all about what if. It's all about what if. It's all about what if I let Spirit come into my life? What if I let go of my anxiety? What if I, operated from a place of true faith and true trust in the universe? What if all of these amazing things, and so much of all those blessings, come from operating on the what if side? What if I let Spirit have a greater role in my life? What if I let God, angels, guides, loved ones help me more? Even with the little minuscule decisions, like what's on my to-do list. Like literally I got on here and I was ready to push the live button at 4 o'clock. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm ready to go. And my little voice in my head says, look at the clock. Okay, I look at the clock. Oh, it's 4 o'clock. It's not time for us yet. Dang it, I was all ready. And then I'm like, well, now I have 30 minutes. Well, what am I going to do? Voice in my head, this is what you're going to do. And I got something off my desk, which is great. So what if we could operate from what if more than we could operate from what is? Hi, sweetheart. What if we could operate from what if more than we operate from what is? And so it was such an interesting conversation that I was having with both sides of my brain, but also that I was having with them through this whole week of, on this side, the human mind, because I talk a lot about the human brain and the soul mind. Okay, I talk a lot about these two different things. And so the human brain, where we focus on the human brain, where I'm, washing my face and brushing my teeth and living my life, my day-to-day life, that's the human mind. And that's where we want to focus on what is versus what if. Because we don't want to get caught up in the anxiety and the depression and the spirals to things. If you watch the news or you would, whatever, we can just spiral. But at the same time, over on the metaphysical side in the right brain, it's so much more powerful when we focus on what if rather than what is. And when we focus on what if, we can bring so much more light and possibility and joy and expansion into the left brain, into the human side. And so this is something, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. I made a post on the Facebook page, I made a post on the Instagram, but and also feel free to comment here. But this is something I really, and it's not a struggle because there's nothing negative, but it is so beautiful to have this opportunity to say, over here where my feet are on the ground, it's important to focus on what is rather than what if. And at the same time, over here when I'm in my higher, it is so important to focus on what if, rather than what is. Because it's that blending and allowing Spirit to come closer to us and allowing them to have more of a presence in our lives. And I don't, and don't get hung up on the who, okay? And don't get hung up on the how. I gotta know my guides. Who is it? What's their name? My Indian guide. It doesn't matter. It does to me. It's never mattered what my guide's name was. For me, I've always had a hand on my shoulder as one of my guides. I think like from the Addams Family, a hand. It was just a hand. And that may have just been how it was personified to me when I was a kid and we would watch, the Addams Family. I don't know. I was never like an obsessed fan with the show or anything like that, but it just that was, I always felt like I had a hand on my shoulder. Was there something more? Was there a being, an entity attached to the hand? Probably. But in my mind, in my comprehension of it, always manifested as a hand on my shoulder. And so I put a tattoo here of a manatee, of course, and I named him George because George was always the name of my hand. That guide, that hand, that pressure, that comfort, that companionship, always right here was in my mind. The name was given to me, George. And probably the truth of that situation is that when I was a little girl, I named him George. So, and I don't think he minded. They minded him, them, and. And so there it was, and now that's George. But when you are sitting and worrying about, I need to connect with my guides, and I need to know their name, and let me just say that is not the important part of the relationship. And so the important part of the relationship is about welcoming them in, letting them come closer to you on any given day in every single way. Literally, I want spirit and my loved ones and my angels and my guides. I want them in my pocket. I want them with me. I want to hear their musings. I want to hear their thoughts. I want to hear their guidance all day, every day. Okay. Now, I am very clear that I have boundaries. I'm gonna say, okay, I'm brushing my teeth. I'm in the shower. I'm in the toilet. I'm having, intimate moments with my husband. Y'all back off. But you set those boundaries, right? You set those boundaries with, in your mind and with your folks. But everything on this side is about what if rather than what is. And then we come back over here to the logic brain, left brain, right? Where our feet are on the ground. And it is so much about what is rather than what if. And where I draw this bridge, where there's a bridge right here, is what if I let my loved ones come in? What if I let them, more closely have influence in my life and be a presence in my life? What if, right? And as I let them in, what could they create over on this side? Because I let them closer into my life, and because I have asked them to come closer, and because I welcome them to come closer, what is the shift in my reality because of the what ifs over here? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And so as you allow your spirits, your guides, your angels, your loved ones to draw closer and to be part of your life, that whole conversation is about what if. What can you do? What can you show me? What if you showed me? What if you put a bird across my path? What if you gave me guidance? What if? And then over here to come back on this side to be able to say, this is what is happening in my life because I welcome them in. So there is a bridge to be made there. There is a bridge to be made. And so this is what's been bouncing around in my head this week. And so I had asked before, only on the Facebook page, I might not have put it on the Instagram, are you a thinker or a feeler? Because I think that this has bearing on it. If you are a thinker, you're over here. You're on the left brain. I need the logic. I need the rationale. I am over here. But if you're a feeler, you might be more over here. You might be more over on the what if side. Okay? And so where you are, knowing where you are and how you process information is important, because if you're a thinker, you may think all of this part over here is a bunch of hooey, and if that's the case, you might actually not even be watching this right now because it wouldn't, it wouldn't speak to you. But creating the bridge for yourself between what if, what is possible in your world, and bringing that over to the grounded side of, because I've welcomed in possibilities and I've opened my heart to miracles, this is the reality that I'm living in. Because we've seen those miracles every day. We see those miracles all the time. And that is something I think is so beautiful. So it does not have to be either or. What if or what is, it doesn't have to be either or. It's a blending. It's a blending of both, right? Because I let them in using what if you came, what if you showed me, what if I allowed, what if I opened myself to spirit more fully? What is actually happening with our boots on the ground can make a huge difference, can be a huge shift. And so that's what's been rolling around in my mind that they wanted to communicate with us today. So let's look at some cards. Let's look at some cards. All right, I am called to start with our Goddess Power Oracle and to see which powerful, strong, beautiful woman is going to be guiding us for a little while this week. And I do remember to have my glasses. They are filthy, but I do remember. I actually went on Amazon and I got like a 5-pack of readers in all different colors, and now I literally have one in like a pair in like every room. So I'll never be missing my glasses again. Be like, oh, I didn't bring my glasses. So I think that was like $20 well spent. So it gives me a giggle every time I think of it, because now I find myself carrying, these are on my head. I'm walking from room to room, and I'm like, oh no, these are the office glasses, not the bedroom glasses. Oh, we've got a little bit of a jumper. All right, Maya, the goddess of illusion. M-A-Y-A, Maya, the goddess of illusion. She's number 34, which is interesting because 3 and 4 are both prime numbers, and 34 when added together is 7, is also prime number, but also about being over the hump. If you're looking at numerology a little bit, being over the hump of, as you've climbed the hill and you're starting to come down into the third act, if you will, like if you've, of a play or a story, like you've gotten over the thing, and now how we're going to work it all out to reach the finish line. And so that's such an interesting thing. In Maya, it says, when you look at the world, everything you see appears to be real. So it's easy to imagine that your current conditions are influenced only by obvious actions and calculated movements. This is an illusion. Everything is intrinsically connected, though not visible to us due to the limitations imposed on our perception by our five senses. Isn't that just what we were talking about? You're right, 4 is not a prime number. I'm sorry. You're right, because it is divisible by 2. It's true. And I guess, yes, 2. Sorry. But fair warning, you know me in math. So, it says, Hindu goddess of illusion, Maya, calls you to trust that the invisible... Okay, seriously, you cannot make this stuff up. You cannot. Hindu goddess of illusion, Maya, calls you to trust that the invisible world is responding to your deepest desires and intentions to make a better life for yourself and others. You are able to see through a curtain of illusions. Your clarity, your intuition, and intuition is heightened as your next steps are sure-footed when the goddess Maya chooses to help you. Okay, seriously, I cannot even believe it myself. I mean, I do. Of course I do, because the cards are always so freaking smart. But seriously, did we not literally just talk about this? About what if, and bringing that closer and bringing it across to the physical and to the grounded part of you with the what is? I mean, seriously? Like, we literally just talked about this. I love the cards. I love the cards because they are so freaking smart. And I know, even though I say it's the cards are freaking smart, it's not the cards, it's them. It's them. Because every time we welcome them closer into our lives, they do wonderful, miracle, fabulous, amazing things like that. Like that. And every single time that we pull a card that is exactly on point with what we've just talked about, my heart does a little dance. Truly, my heart does a little dance. Because I'm like, I know you're listening. I mean, I always know you're listening. I know you are there. But I love it when you show up, and I love it when you prove it to me, which is the whole what if. That's the whole what if of what if. And so I say to them, show me every day in every possible way. Show me you are with me, guiding me in my life, my family, and protecting my family and in my steps. Show me. So we have in our energy, we have a grand symphony. A grand symphony. Number 27. 27. So lots of 3s, because 27, 2, and 7 is 9, which is like the completion of the journey coming down. So we've got the 7 and the 9 coming down into that completion of ending the chapter, coming to the end of a story. And isn't that interesting, because we just are having the full moon as well. So, and we talked about before about how when we have the full moon, we're like at the top of the circle where we can really look around. Like if you imagine, like I live in Orlando, so we have the Orlando Eye, and a lot of cities have these giant Ferris wheels that go around. And so the idea is when you're at the top, you have this great view of the whole city and the surrounding areas, and I can see my house from here and all of that. And so you have that at the full moon. When the full moon, the energy is at its height, it's most intense, and you have that where you can really look around and see, I'm at the top. And now as I'm going forward to start coming back down and to finish this story, how do I want that to play out? And Maya reminds us that they are with us, they are guiding us, they are showing us the way, and that they are helping put those ideas to bring them in this year and shift them across through your brain and across to this side of your brain to the rational, logical thinking, so you can take all that intuition that's been given you and use it in practical application over here. And so then we have the Grand Symphony. This means that if we're listening, when we're listening, that these things are coming through, that they're showing us that celebration. The Grand Symphony is the graduation, it's the finale, it's the coming to the end of that chapter, that story, that celebration of life. I mean, look, the card itself is full of green and flowers and trumpets and literal trumpets, and being allowed to celebrate the victories, celebrate the wins. And so the reminder here also is to pat yourself on the back when things go well, when you did something good. Even a small step forward is still a step forward. Celebrate the wins. And I remind myself of this every single day, because we look You would look at the news and it's like, right? But, because that's what's going to sell the newspapers and that's what's going to get people to watch, not the good stuff, right? The good stuff, what, if it bleeds, it leads, right? We all have heard that thing. Not the good stuff, and to be able to know that there is good stuff happening. And so for every time that we take a step forward, even a small step forward, even if it creates ripples and it creates drama and it creates all of this stuff unfolding, it's still a step forward. And it's still a step forward to where you were before. And we celebrate. We celebrate the completion of the story. We celebrate the completion of the journey. Even if it's just the piece and we go to the next chapter, right? Because life and all of the lives are a journey. And it's all just chapters. It's all chapters. Even your chapter could be an hour. It could be a week. It could be a minute. Your chapter could be a life. It could be... There's no wrong way to measure. And there's no rule that says, oh, well, Monday can't just be a chapter, right? It's how you are understanding it. But even the smallest steps, or how you choose to define it, let me say, but even the smallest steps forward are still a step forward. And they should be celebrated. They should be celebrated. Because when we're in that place of going, okay, this day did not go as planned. And this thing did not go the way I thought it was going to go. And there's some stuff in here that just sucked eggs. But let me look for something good. Let me look for something good. Because we literally have two choices. We can stay in the energy of that sucked eggs, or we can stay in the energy of let me find the blessing. Because if you know that all things work together for good, and I know that I know that I know that even when I'm in the shit, all things work together for good. So I look at the news and I'm looking at the things and I'm looking at my life and I'm looking at what's going on. I'm like, I know all things work together for good. And so wherever it is, even if it sucks today, this minute, this chapter, this week, this month, this is a chapter. And that there will be a place where there comes blessing. And that is hard to bite sometimes. That is hard. I fought with Bank of America for 3 fucking years. 3 years of my life. I fought Bank of America with those bastards. Literally called my house every 30 to 45 minutes from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. Think about that for a second. My house was in and out of foreclosure like 6 different times because of a clerical error that they made and that I could prove, but I couldn't get the proof to the right place. Every day from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., every 30 to 45 minutes, for 3 years. Kind of toll that takes on your body with your energy and your... And finally we got to the office of the president because a guy I knew had the email that was president at Bank of America. Literally, that was the email, president of Bank of America. It never occurred to me. And a guy named Iggy looked at the situation, looked at the history, and went, oh, click, 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 was done. It was fixed. It was done. After 3 years of torture, it was over. And because I'm saying to myself, A, I'm thrilled to be released from you people. And then we just wanted our mortgage to be sold. And eventually they did. They sold our mortgage about 6 months later to another company. I was so thrilled. I didn't care who it was. I just wanted those people away from us. But what happened after that, a few months after they sold our mortgage, we got a certified letter from Bank of America that said because of a ruling by the Department of Justice, who had gone after all of these criminal and predatory lenders, like Bank of America and Countrywide, and Wells Fargo was named in that lawsuit, that because the Department of Justice had decided that these were criminal practices and predatory lending practices and bad behavior, that they were trying to foreclose on properties. Bank of America tried to foreclose on properties they didn't even own, and really hassling people, that they had to make reparations. And so Bank of America had to give us back a shit ton of money. They basically totally forgave our second mortgage that we had with them. We had to have a second mortgage. When you have a second mortgage, which is just how the numbers worked out for us to be able to purchase this house, when you have a second mortgage, it makes the idea of full ownership of your home seem so far away. Because even if you paid off your first mortgage, there's still this other one. And because of what I went through, because of how hard I fought, and because of everything that we did, we came out ahead, not just because they forgave our second mortgage, but because of so many other things that happened as in the cascade from that, right? So not only did my family become one giant leap closer to debt-free, but because of that, so many other blessings came because of the cascade. Because when you stay in the place of the you attract more of that to you. You attract more of that to you, which is why it is so important to celebrate even the tiniest step forward. The tiniest step forward. So when we were going through all of that stuff, I literally would celebrate the fact that I didn't lose my temper with Bank of America today, or I got through the day by ignored all the phone calls and didn't answer anybody and didn't talk to them, and because when I blocked them, they'd call from another number. So, even the littlest steps forward were still a step forward, because when you're trying so hard to stay in the good energy and you focus on the negative, what is going on, even when you're slogging through hell, your energy is bringing more hell. And when you are able to focus on even the babiest of baby steps, and you celebrate the symphony of that baby step, you shift your energy. Even in the littlest way, you get that crack where the light comes in, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and you make it to the end, where you can shift, and that season of your life, that chapter, finishes. And it was months afterwards, other than being free and getting our, mortgage settled, the blessing came later. But I never lost sight of the fact that there would be a blessing. I don't know what the hell this is. I don't know why I'm being asked to go through this. I don't know what I'm supposed to learn from that. I asked that question so many times. What am I supposed to learn from this hell? What am I supposed to learn from this nightmare? And I learned a lot, but I didn't really put those things together until later. I learned strength and perseverance, and I was strong and capable and a badass and tenacious, because I never gave up and said, fine, fuck it, take my house. Never. And we turned what we learned, and we were able to turn around and help so many people in the process by sharing our story and sharing what we did and sharing how we did it. We were able to help so many people, and I learned so many lessons from that, and so many blessings came from that. I will tell you that my connection with my twin flame, literally, I can tie to that. How crazy is that? I can tie my connection of my twin flame coming back into my life. I can tie that back to my nightmare with Bank of America trying to steal my house. All of the things work together for good. Because if you sit down and you draw a diagram and you literally try to connect the dots, it is amazing how truly all of the things work together for good. Stuff that we can't even see it. I have a tapestry that hangs in my living room. It's 3 girls. I think it's from Peru. My parents, who are global travelers before the pandemic, my parents have been around the world several times. My parents, they love to travel. They've literally been everywhere. And I watch them, and they just have such great stories and great experiences. And so they brought this beautiful tapestry, hand woven. It's, this beautiful wall hanging of these girls. It's really beautiful. It's very simple. It's very elegant. And you look at the front of it, and it's the picture, because they've woven the threads and they've made this picture. But if you turn it over and you look at the back of it, it's a holy mess. It's all threads going all different directions, and it's just a mess. And I'm reminded again and again and again and again that the beautiful picture, the tapestry, is facing up, and that they are looking at the beautiful picture that we are weaving. And we're the ones on this side going, this is a holy mess. This swirl, it's a swirl, it's spinning, it's out of control, it's a holy mess. But not from their perspective. From their perspective, this is a beautiful tapestry that we are weaving with our life, with our experience, with our education, with our soul's communication, our soul's education, and we are weaving this beautiful tapestry. And we're the ones looking at the back going, what in the heck? What are you people doing? Right? So we remember all the things work together for good, and to celebrate even the baby steps. Celebrate the baby steps. The grand symphony can be little teeny. You remember the movie, the original movie Men in Black with Will Smith and Tommy Jones, Men in Black, and the whole time the thing they're looking for is hanging, like, you know, this big, hanging on the cat collar, and that was the galaxy. The galaxy was this big, and yet it was a whole entire world. So the chapter, the blessing, the step forward, it does not have to be monumental. Even the littlest steps can be the universe, right? So we celebrate. We celebrate that. All right, let's grab a couple of these. Anna, the grandmother of Jesus. This card says, sending light, laying the foundations for the divine plan. I just can't explain how this could possibly fit in any more perfectly. The grandmother of Jesus is reminding us that we are laying the foundation for the divine plan. And if you were going to lay the foundation for your divine plan, wouldn't you want, you know, God's right hand, his mama, grandmother, rather, anybody from that family tree to be blessing your work and being by you and helping you? That's awesome. And at the same time, we are reminded in the very, very next card to get grounded, which is exactly what we have been talking about all day, about bringing more of this side in and then keeping connected, bringing it across and using it to ground into our life and to help move our lives forward. It says, get grounded. Empaths, high sensitives and connecting with nature. Keeping our feet on the ground. And I love this because if you look at it, there's a line right down the center. There's a split, a divine split. And it's the chakras, it's the little stars, the little light bearers. Because we both have this. We have our connection to the divine. And our job is to bring it in, to bring them closer. And then to bring that information across and let them. We open this little door in the center and we let them be more of a presence and be more of a force and be more of an influence in our lives. We stay grounded, but we stay connected at the same time. It is possible to do both. When I go stand in my grass under my beautiful tree, the Chama outside my window, I literally will put my hands like this. I want to receive. With my incoming hand, I want to receive blessings from the universe, blessings from above, and I want to release with my outgoing hand anything that doesn't serve me. And so I stand in the yard, and my hands are at my side, or they're up, and this one is up. My non-dominant hand is up to receive the blessings from above, to receive the energy from the universe. My hand palm up, and my other hand, my dominant hand, my outgoing energy hand is palmed down. Bring in what I need, welcoming in the light, releasing back to Mother Earth what no longer serves me. Okay? No, kidding. Okay. Trust your path. Trust your path is the last card. We're going to leave it here. Trust your path. Honestly, this is amazing. These cards, thank you. They are amazing. Amazing. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do if you knew? What if? What if? What if? What? I want to cry right now. What if you knew you would be supported? What would you do? Except the truth of it is that you are supported. You are supported so much more than you realize. Let it in. Let them in. Oh, my darling, I am not open for questions today because I am expecting my very dear friend Pam to come knocking on my door any moment. I asked her to arrive at my house at 5:15. So, but I will be, I am reading what you are saying, and I'm going to take it in. And because you and I are personal friends, I will bring some information for you later. But I want to just recap that Maya, the goddess of illusion, was our feminine goddess that is watching over us this week and guiding us, and she's all about trusting and bringing in and allowing all of that blessing and to open the door for spirit to be closer into our lives, celebrating the victories, whatever size that they are, knowing that we are coming to the end of a chapter. Okay, it could be a big chapter, it could be a little chapter. We are coming to the end of a chapter, right? We're coming in that full moon, and we are just have that, and having that the end of this chapter. But knowing that as we are welcoming these into which chakra was Grand Symphony is blue, so it's going to be third eye. So welcoming that in, I guess it's indigo because it's not this blue. Welcoming in Anna, the grandmother of Jesus, knowing that you are laying the foundations, so blessedly laying foundations for your divine plan as you start on to the next chapter, knowing that is happening, that welcoming them more in, and then crossing over with that, bringing them closer, letting them come in, crossing over to the left side, the logic brain, and keeping that. What if they could? What if, show me, what if? And then because of what is, focusing on the left side in the rational mind, what is? Because we are both. We are the higher mind, focusing on what if, come in and show me. And then we are the human brain. What is? Where are we going? Where are we going? But I am going here because they came in, because I let them come close to me. Trust, 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 trust. I love this card. I love when this card comes in. Trust, trust your path, because it is being divinely laid with the assistance of Anna, the grandmother of Jesus. And it is being divinely watched over by Maya. And it is being divinely guided by your angels, guides, loved ones in spirit who are with you. If you will use your right side of your mind to say, what if? What if I allowed you to come closer to me? What if I allowed you to be a bigger part of my life? What if? And then as you go through your day, to focus on what is in front of you, knowing that the is being divinely inspired because you welcome them closer to you. As always, thank you for being with us. Thank you for spending some time today. And please know how truly, deeply you are loved. Janelle, so good to see you. We literally just finished. Replays. Mwah. Have a wonderful week, and always know how much you are so truly loved. Not just by me, by them. So truly loved. Mwah. Have a beautiful week.